Welcome to SUSD Spotlight, your go-to source for all things happening within the district. Whether it's celebrating student and staff achievements, delving into trending education topics, or highlighting inspiring human interest stories, we've got you covered. Join us as we illuminate the incredible endeavors taking place in our schools and forge connections within our community. Get ready to be informed, inspired, and engaged as we embark on this journey together, spotlighting the extraordinary in SUSD. Welcome to another edition of SUSD Spotlight. Today we're really excited to talk about one of our 25-26 SUSD Innovation Startup Grant recipients, a team of teachers from Tavan Elementary. Welcome both Katie and Susan.
Thank you, Dr. Menzel.
So it would be really great if you can help our audience know a little bit about who you are, your teaching path, how long you've been in Scottsdale Unified and at Tavan, and then we'll jump into the innovation grant that you received.
I'm Katie Kahn. This is my third year teaching at Tavan. I taught kindergarten for the last 2 years, and this year is my first year as a CGP teacher, kindergarten and first grade. And before that, I was teaching in Virginia, and I taught third grade for 6 years, and then I also taught kindergarten there as well.
Thank you.
I'm Susan Green. This is my second year in the district, 21st year in education. I'm teaching second and third grade CGP at Tavan, and I love it.
So what inspired you to apply for the SUSD Innovation Startup Grant?
So I actually found these robots, Dash and Dot robots, on Facebook Marketplace, and I'd heard about them before, and I knew that we really had a need to address the coding standards that Arizona has, and we don't have a ton of curriculum to be able to do that in our classrooms. And so when I found these on Facebook Marketplace and our wonderful PTO was able to reimburse us for a few for my classroom, I tried them out, and then I went to Susan and said, Susan, there's this great grant that I think we should apply for. What are some other things that our gifted team could really use? And Susan had some other ideas.
Breakout boxes, microscopes, scales, so the kids can get working with their hands.
And we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just something that we could use in the gifted classrooms. While the gifted teachers were on board, we all worked together to make sure that all of our gifted students have these wonderful opportunities. We wanted to also bring it to all of our students on campus. And so part of the grant was also getting a coding application that works with these robots that all students on our campus now have the ability to learn how to code.
And what's the experience been like as you've launched this project?
Well, it's been very overwhelming, but wonderful at the same time. I've got to work with a lot of the different teachers on this. I've gone into so many different classrooms. We led a staff PD to make sure that the teachers knew how to do it. Once we kind of got familiar first of how it would look in the gifted classroom, then we brought it to the teachers so that way they had ideas of how they could bring it to the classroom in their capacities. And it's been really great to see all the different growth.
You mentioned CGP. For our listeners that maybe don't know what that means, can you tell us what CGP is? But then it sounds like this is also sort of a gift for all.
Yeah. CGP is a comprehensive gifted program. It's a specialized program that our school and two other schools in the district have for elementary. And our school, though, is wonderful with CGP, especially in the kindergarten and first grade area, because we're not only pulling them in a small self-contained class, we also have them go into their own classrooms so that way they learn their social skills. They're able to, interact with their peers, not miss out on special events like the 100th day of school. They're with their peers, and it's been really wonderful to see just how much they've grown this year because we've started this new change in the CGP program at Tavan.
And it sounds like a project like this because when you think about CGP, sometimes the classes are a little different. Like some of the different projects, group projects, collaborative learning, hands-on learning might look a little bit different. But this is something you found a way to weave in throughout the campus?
Yes, the breakout boxes, we're creating a library so teachers can check out materials that go with the breakout boxes.
When you say breakout box, what is that?
So it's like an escape room.
Okay.
It's a lot of puzzles. Some are sequential, some are not, and they have to figure out through clues and and puzzles to get the locks open and
These are
break
team
out.
projects, not individuals, so like
It-
an escape room?
Yes, it can be individual, but yeah, the goal is to get them working as a team to teach resilience and perseverance, which I've seen a big change in with my kids. So and discourse, and just to have fun. They really celebrate when they get out of that box, and then they're all based on. They can all be standards. It can be standards based. So and they really it's a lot of fun.
And does this relate to certain grade levels, or like 3-5, or is this K-5?
It ranges from K5, K6. It can go all the way up to adults. So anyone can participate with it.
How have the kids enjoyed it?
They have had so much fun with it. There's some pictures that we have that they're just celebrating that they've broken out, and again, it does really teach them how to communicate with each other in a positive way. So I've seen a lot of growth with them using.
You
these.
mentioned the need to address coding standards, Katie, and I'm curious how that looks for your kindergarten, first and second grade students, and how you use the bots to be able to help educate our students in coding.
Yeah, one of the things that we do first is we talk about what coding is and how it's really just a set of instructions. And so I'll start off with just telling them, okay, well, I need to get to the door. How do I get to the door? And have them tell me the directions of how to get there. Once we kind of got that under our belt of knowing what coding is, then we went to paper coding, where they then had like we were learning about gingerbread at the time, and we had a little challenge where they had to get to the gingerbread to their house. And so then we created little pathways to get to their house. And once we kind of got through the paper challenges of knowing what that is, then we brought in the computers to help them to see, oh, coding is really just instructions and you're telling it exactly what to do. What I really love about the program that is beneficial for all the students is there's a lot of key details when they're telling them what to do. There's a lot of reading comprehension, listening comprehension that they're building by following these challenges. And it does create a lot of productive struggle. There's, some tears sometimes, some frustration, but it's been so good just to see how much they have learned how to handle their emotions, how to handle when things don't go the way that they expect. And in this world that we're living in, it's so important that we teach our kids that. Those soft skills are so important that we spend the time teaching them.
I haven't really heard coding described in that most simplified fashion. I really appreciate that. And especially as it relates to how kids would interpret or learn what exactly coding is. And it just seems like the attention to detail is so important, because you don't want to take anything for granted. There's so many assumptions we make when we just, breathe or walk down the hall and go to, get our gingerbread to the house. Do you find that they work better as a team, or is this really an individualized coding activity?
Definitely a team.
Okay.
They can do it individualized, which that's the cool thing about the program is, so we only have 12 of these robots, but on the program that we have, they have an individual robot that they can code to do the things that needs to do. But I do think that it works so much better when they're in a group, because then they talk through it. They notice, oh, you missed this step. Oh, this is what happened. And really, when they've been doing that, I've noticed they're just encouraging each other, talking a lot more than if they were just doing it by themselves, where they could kind of get in a tunnel where they're not able to figure it out.
There's so many things we do on cruise control. We forget all the little steps that it takes to get there. So this is a neat experience.
I had some students, they created an obstacle course, and then one child was on a computer and the other child was calling the code out to him to get him to get Dash to move.
And do
through
they
the
compete?
obstacle course.
Was that a competition, or was that just
It was just for fun. Yeah, they created the obstacle course and they just had fun with it.
Have you had any feedback from parents in terms of, you've introduced this in the classroom, the students are talking about it at home? Any feedback from your parents?
Oh, absolutely. We had a STEM night at Tavan, and we really showcased all of this then. And so many parents were just so excited to see it. They were like, "Oh, we've heard about this. Like we've been our child has been talking so much about this." And so they were so happy to kind of see what it looked like and to understand what they were doing on the computer. But they've all just been so excited and just happy, I think, that we have such forward thinking of what's we don't know exactly what the jobs are going to look like when these kids are graduating. And so it's so important that we're giving them the skills that no matter what the job market looks like, they have the skills to be successful. And so I think they're just happy that we've thought this through and really have not just kept it to ourselves in the gifted program, but given it to all of our students.
And this will go all the way up to JavaScript. So
Okay.
it'll go,
Yeah.
they can move real far with it.
How do you build on something like this? Do you already have like sort of next steps or a vision in mind?
Well, with the robots, next year I was hoping to be able to have a robotics team. There's different missions and things that you can do with it. And I think now that everybody's been exposed to it, I think it'd be really cool for all grade levels to be able to be a part of it. And maybe we'll have different days of the week for K2 and then 3-5. But just to give them those opportunities, I think that's where we're going to go with that. With breakout boxes, I think we're just going to try to keep pushing them so that teachers are using them, getting kids to have those opportunities in all of their classrooms. Because while we have a really great curriculum that we need to use, there's so many ways that we can supplement to be able to practice the same skills that we're doing in the curriculum using these tools that we have.
And to challenge the kids, because these are a challenge for them, and you want them to go further than they're expected to.
Do you ever have middle school or high school students come back and partner with the students with some of what they've learned and kind of help reinforce why this is important?
We haven't yet.
No, that's a good idea.
They did come on our STEM night, but that could be a great opportunity for them. Especially we have avid students
Right.
at our school, so that could be an opportunity.
A nice connection, and just thinking about how they look up to older peers.
Absolutely.
And thinking about, okay, why is this important? And while this might look fun here, how's it going to translate into something down the road?
Well, and you think about the cool teenagers at Arcadia, and we had the one student who already has a Python cert through CTE. So there's some connections when maybe they see what opportunities lie ahead.
Absolutely. I think hearing those opportunities too would be really helpful, of knowing what to motivate them as they keep growing and learning in this.
So what other things would you like? If money were no object or time were no object, what were the things you would like to put in place for your students?
Oh, man.
That's a big question, Dr. Menzel.
I would say I would love to have more breakout boxes. We do on Fridays. We have specials Fridays where 2 grade levels get the opportunity to be in specials all day while the teachers of those grade levels are planning. And we were talking about how we can just make that day better for our students. And we were trying to figure out if we had enough breakout boxes to be able to do it. And we have, I think 10.
5 per classroom would be nice, because then you could have 5 kids working on each box.
Right.
Or 6 per class. Then you can have, you could even have different centers of them, different boxes that the kids can rotate through.
And what's
So
it
in
cost
a
to get a
perfect
breakout
world-
box? If we had philanthropists in our community who wanted to say, I want to sponsor a breakout box, what would that cost?
What was it,
It's
2,000?
Oh, no. Each is like $100, $120.
Okay.
But
per
then there's a
breakout box.
program that goes with it, which
Yes.
is
That's also
also-
about $100 per year.
200.
If we go up to the digital breakout boxes too, because of course there's all kinds of layers of things we can have.
That's how they hook you, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So many cool experiences.
And then to be able to continue to have the program for the coding robots, because we have it now for a year with the innovation grant, but after that we're going to try to be looking for our own sponsor to
That's
be able
the
to help
expensive
that.
one.
Yeah, that one it's about $2,000 for our whole campus to
Okay.
have. So that would also be great to have.
Yeah.
Well, if people don't know what the need is, they don't have an opportunity to give, and many times people are looking for a way to contribute, particularly in support of students in their learning. So just want to make sure that people understood that you're open for business and willing to be able to take donations so that we can expand the opportunities for students at Tavan, right?
Absolutely.
What else should people know about what's happening on the campus at Tavan Elementary School?
We just became a blue zone.
Yes.
They are currently painting streets. It's street signs and,
Okay.
bike lanes, and our garden's getting some more items put into it, like
How many chickens do you
swing
have?
and- how many chickens do we have?
I think we have 8 chickens, and we just got 2 turkeys.
Oh, okay.
Turkeys have just
And they have
joined.
babies. The chickens are now,
Yes.
there's chicklets.
Chicks. Yes. Our kindergartners every year go to the farm, and so they went and picked up their chicken eggs before spring break, and so now they have just all hatched. So we have, I think, I want to say 8 or 9 chicks that were just recently born. So that's
Yeah, I walked away with a dozen eggs after the Blue Zones ribbon cutting. so
Yeah,
that was
you're on the
fantastic.
list.
It was very cool.
it's hard to get those.
Well, it sounds like Tavan offers a plethora of just hands-on learning experiences, from the garden to the chicks and now turkeys, but then also from these STEM opportunities in your classroom with the boxes, and all tied back to the curriculum and the state standards, making learning fun.
Yes.
Absolutely. We have a really great staff at Tavan, and really a great gifted team as well that we've worked really hard this year to build up, and we're just continuing to grow as a staff and just continue to adjust to all the changes that keep coming our way.
Well, we do encourage families to schedule a tour if they're interested. It's a great place to learn and grow for students, and it's a cohesive staff, which is really nice to see. You work well together. At the end of every podcast, I like to ask my guests if there's a particular teacher or person in your life who inspired you to become a teacher or do the work that you're doing. I always like to be able to give a shout out to those who have, made a difference and caused someone to move into this profession. And if you have someone in your life that you'd like to give a shout out to, we'd like to give you that opportunity.
I would say my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Johnson, back in Virginia. She was my inspiration to become a teacher. And then I had a Spanish teacher in, I was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And she even gave a speech at my wedding.
Wow.
And so she also inspired me and encouraged me to continue the good work of teaching. And that's Miss Byers. She's the best.
Thank you.
Mine would be a teacher from Hopi, actually, a long time ago. Called her name is Miss Berquist. She was just very kind to me,
Okay.
so that really helped me through my school.
Teachers make a difference, and you never know in what way. And we have other people in our school system. It can be a bus driver or a parapro, but those acts of kindness, the way that you engage with students, can make a lasting difference in the life of young people. So I want to thank you for choosing this profession and for taking a leap of faith to apply for the Innovation Grant and for doing the things to kind of make memorable learning experiences for the students at Tavan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in to this edition of SUSD Spotlight, and we hope that you will pitch us ideas for future episodes on our website, susd.org/spotlight.